Hello and welcome to the Joy of Source Filmmaker. In this episode I will show you how to animate. Okay, as usual we're going to start with loading a map and adding a camera. Then select the camera and move it into a suitable position. By the way, the map I'm using is the Life is Strange Girls Dormitory map. Link as usual in the description. Now change the lens a bit, like I showed you in the first tutorial I think. And now we're going to add two models. For the first we're going to add FemShap, to remind us of the days when Mass Effect still was fun. Now let's move her into a general position. Okay, this works. Just turning off ambient occlusion and some other stuff, well, that's my personal preference. You can use it if you like, I won't judge. And now let's add a second model. Sadly I cannot show you most of them because YouTube would totally kick my ass. But if you're following me on Tumblr, you should pretty much get the idea what kind of models I am hiding here. Okay, why not this one? She takes a standard rig, so it's easier for demonstration purposes. Now we're going to do a pose, nothing complicated. It's only for demo purposes. And since I already showed you how to pose in episode 1, I'm going to skip this here to make the video a bit shorter. And here we are, by the magic of editing, around 10 minutes later. To animate, you will need a rig. You add a rig by right-clicking on the model, select rig and load rig script. Select the script that came with your model, in this case a DAZ V2. After you successfully rigged your model, it should behave a bit different than before. Let me demonstrate. Manipulate the spine a bit, like so, and you see the hands stay in place. This makes animating a lot easier. Now repeat the process with the second model. Now, before we start animating, I'm going to show you how to use locks. It's relatively easy. In the animation set editor, select the second model's pelvis and pull it on the hands of the first model. That's because when you move the second model's pelvis, the first model's hands will move with it. See? Just like this. That's far easier than animating the hands separately. Now we're going to do the same with FemShap's chest. Just pull them on her hands and the chest should be locked. In case you made a mistake here, just click on the little lock symbol to disable the lock. I now added some lighting. If you don't know how this goes, don't worry, just check part 1. To make animating a bit easier, select the numbers up here and select total frames instead of time. Now we're going to animate our first body part. For animating, it's important to use only the graph editor. Select the bone you would like to animate. In this case, the pelvis bone. Make sure the time slider is set to 0 and press the M key to make a marker. This is really important. Now move the time slider 10 to 15 seconds and press the M key again. Move the bone a little. And then repeat. For this demo we're going to do a 60 frame animation with 2 cameras, nothing too fancy. After you're done, check it out in the main camera. You do this by pressing the space key and you stop it by pressing the space key again. Okay, looks fine, but we're far from done. Now we're going to do something similar with Femshap's pelvis. It might take some fidgeting around till everything works to your satisfaction, but take your time. The end product is totally worth it. Repeatedly check your animation by pressing the space key. That's fine, but still looks a bit robotic. Okay, let's zoom this in a bit more. Yes, like this. Now let's try a little rubbing motion with Femshap's hand. To make it work, we need to manipulate the spine a bit. Nothing too difficult. Her arm would move very unnaturally otherwise. Just add some markers and make her lean forward a little bit. After that's done, we can get started with the hand. Move and rotate till you get your first rubbing motion. In this case it's a bit fidgety because of the back pockets, but if you do stuff like I do, you'll rarely encounter those. You can move markers by clicking on them and dragging them around, or you can delete them by pressing the delete key. Still a bit clipping here, but we're getting there. We'll just alter the movements a little bit. Okay, that should work. Not too bad. Okay, now for some facial movement, I would say. Rigging usually hides some parts of the model. To get them back, that's relatively easy. To get them back, just right-click in the animation set editor and select Show Hidden Controls. Now we're going to use the flexes for animating the faces. Just set a marker and then use the sliders. It usually takes some playing around to get something nice, but take your time. If you rush it here, you will probably regret it later. Just watch out for clipping, like with the heads. The noses really like to clip. Now fine-tune till everything looks to your satisfaction, and you should end up with something like this. Now we add a second camera for a close-up and move it a bit to their faces. Now to make it look more natural, we're going to animate the camera. Select the camera, use the graph editor, set a marker, and then select this and move it a bit up and down and left and right, or whatever you like. This makes it look more natural, more like a handheld camera. Check everything for one last time and then select File, Export, Movie. Select it as an uncompressed AVI. Go for 1080p. Select Custom, Frames, and select 0 till 60 frames. Export it to a folder of your choosing. I choose the desktop. Name it 1 or whatever. And then export it. This might take a while. After that's done, repeat the same process with the second camera. Select it, graph editor, do a bit movement, and you're fine. Export it the same as the first, but name it 2. Now we're done with Source Filmmaker. Open up the video editor of your choice and import the video clips. Move them a bit and then kinda fade them into each other. Also, you might want to reverse the second clip to make it look a bit more natural. Fade it in and fade it out, so it loops a bit better. Now just add some audio effects of your choice. I change the color temperature a bit and manipulate the color curves. After this I add some background music. Remember to fade this one in and out too. And now a ripped voice sample of FemShep to round it up. And now export the movie, and if you've done everything right, it should look a bit like this. Please rate, comment and subscribe. Thank you, until next time.